On this episode of On Tap, we head to Town Hall Brewery, a craft beer pioneer in Minnesota.
Then we'll check out the great beer lineup at the Up-Down Barcade.
And CrafTapped is building community around beer.
Plus, we head to Fair State Brewing, Minnesota's first cooperative brewery.
Welcome to another episode of On Tap. I'm Ben Hale, joined by Danica Peterson, and there's nothing better than on a Minnesota summer afternoon to just sit out on the deck and have a few beers, and that's what we're doing today.
That's absolutely what we're doing. And today we're drinking our homebrew that we made on the last episode. It is a clone of Surly Furious that we picked up at Brew and Grow, and I think it's pretty tasty. So cheers to us, and cheers to Brew and Grow for making a fine kit.
Yeah, it's definitely a good beer. I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, you should be.
And you.
Yeah.
And Trevor.
And Brew and Grow.
Yeah. But to start off today's show, you know who else makes good beer? It's Town Hall. And we're going to head down to Minneapolis and learn all about the story behind Town Hall Brewery. I'm on the edge of downtown at Seven Corners, and that must mean one thing. I'm heading to Town Hall Brewery for some great food and some awesome beer.
While I was in grad school, specifically in the Pacific Northwest, I learned a lot about craft beer. Craft beer in the Pacific Northwest, Oregon and Washington and Northern California and even Southern California was significantly in front of time-wise on the craft beer scene as Minnesota. So when I moved here, there wasn't a whole lot of craft breweries. I homebrewed and loved craft beer. Me and a really good friend of mine who also lived in the Twin Cities decided to take the plunge and investigate opening a brewery, specifically a brew pub. In Seattle, I was a teacher's assistant in accounting, and I did all my studying and my grading at a brew pub called the Big Time Brewery, which is right by the university there. Okay. So that's probably what did it for me. And I really liked the brew pub scene because I was used to it. I bartended for a while, and I also washed dishes for a while. And the social scene at brew pubs was much different than I imagined the social scene at a brewery was. So that's why we opened a brew pub. I think, and I'm going by memory here, there was about 8 breweries / brew pubs in the Twin Cities when we opened. So the landscape was significantly different, where now there's over 100 breweries in the state of Minnesota. I can remember when we first opened, craft beer wasn't a real big thing, and we've been in the same location. We would go to the Skyway and hand out free beer passes just to try to get people in the door. Whereas everyone really wants to try the new craft breweries now, it really wasn't like that back then.
Part of the reason Town Hall has been so successful is the consistency of their beer, which is directly related to the longevity of their brewer.
We brought in Mike, and Mike will tell you exactly off the top of my head. I think he's been here 15 years. And he's as creative as the best chef you would find if you're comparing it to food. He makes over 50 different styles of beer every year. He makes new one-off beers every year that, is very creative. I would suspect that a lot of brewers that are coming up in Minnesota now would point to him as an inspiration.
So I was introduced to making beer. I was in college. One of my roommates was given you may have heard this story, it's a classic. For Christmas, they got a homebrew kit. Hey Mike, you want to brew some beer with us? Sure, that sounds great. Started making beer, made a tremendous disaster of the kitchen, standard stuff. Of course, you got one roommate that's mad because there's a mess in the kitchen. And for some reason, I took to it, started reading as much as I could, and just soaked everything up, and thought, man, this is pretty cool. This is maybe more than a hobby. But what attracted me originally to the brew pub environment was the creativity that you could offer. We had customers that wanted to drink all kinds of different beers, which allowed for all kinds of different creativity. You weren't making 3 beer styles, flagships, and packaging them and sending them out the door. We were making 20, 30. Now we probably do, more than that per year. Quite honestly, we're no different than a chef at a given restaurant. They're introduced to some new ingredient and they think, oh, how would that fit into the beef tartare recipe or whatever. It's the same way with beer ingredients. craft beer is now big enough that suppliers are trying to create more and more ingredients. So if we get a hold of them, it sparks ideas. Or there's beers that have been thought up after having a meal. It's like, oh, these flavors are fantastic. We could very easily create that in a beer as well.
Town Hall features a 10-barrel brew house, meaning each batch kicks out 20 kegs. They produce about 2,000 barrels a year, and every drop is served at their brew pubs. Even without the ability to retail their beer, Town Hall is a big player in the Minneapolis beer scene, and most people can remember the first time they had a sip of Masala Mama.
We've been really fortunate with that beer. When I started here in 2000, there was a Masala Mama here. The recipe was 3 years old. It was created by another brewer, another chef, if you will, and it was a nice beer. But when I came here, I took what I was given and then put my own twist on it, things that I liked or didn't like or whatever. Naturally, that would happen. And that was really early in the blogging days, and for whatever reason, what we did, bloggers caught on to, and that beer kind of got a claim to fame that really helped us, which was nice. And it's an interesting beer how that thing has evolved. That's a beer style that it was started in the mid-90s, and the mid-90s IPAs and today's IPAs are completely different. So it's a blast to the past. The hop varieties, Centennial and Cascade, were heavily used at that time for aromatics primarily, and we still use those. Malt was much more evident in those days. And the beer has evolved since even in 2000 when we started making it here, but it's got its own little niche where it has a malt backbone but still offers a bunch of the American citric hops that it kind of runs a line between the new IPAs and some of the old school ones. And customers have really adapted to it well.
A beer like Masala Mama and others like Czar Jack have helped Town Hall make its mark. But with Minnesota liquor laws prohibiting brew pubs from also operating a production brewery for distribution, their growth options are limited.
I wish laws would change. I always thought it would go a different direction. I thought the beer side would be bigger than the restaurant side, so it hasn't really done that. And if the laws change, I think there's opportunity to grow in that way as well. I think that if there's a demand for your beer outside on-sale license, I think you should be able to sell it. In different states, since Prohibition, different states can make up their own laws on the liquor side. And Minnesota law, it really isn't advantageous to be a brew pub versus a production brewery ever since the taproom bill. Tap rooms, I think, have been fantastic. I think it's been fantastic for the beer business. I think since the taproom bill has been passed, we've doubled the number of breweries here in the state of Minnesota, which I think is fantastic. But I think consumers are missing out when they're missing out on some great beer that's made by brew pubs. And we're not able to meet the demand that's out there. And I think that's unfortunate. I think if the laws were to change, we would investigate and look into opening a production brewery.
Town Hall survived the early days of craft beer in Minnesota, and even if laws remain unchanged, the future is bright.
We found that it was a struggle changing people's opinion of craft beer at first, but now it's fantastic.
Our customer base has grown over the years. We still have a lot of the same people. These are friends, these are family, and I really get a lot of pleasure out of seeing people enjoying, the beer that you're making right next door. You get a relaxing atmosphere. You get to sit around and drink a lot of different beers. At this location, we usually have 15 to 20 different varieties that we produce in-house, and it's ever rotating. So it's always about entertaining you. You come in tomorrow, it might be different than today.
We'll continue to put out the best beer, in my opinion, in the state.
Well, we did have a nice time down at Town Hall, and make sure you check out any of their locations. You're going to have some great beer.
And another place we got to check out is the very new Up-Down Barcade in Uptown.
Ooh, I got that.
Yeah.
I got that.
They have 60 tap lines, a whole lot of craft beer, and more vintage arcade games than you have seen in a very long time.
I feel like this place is the existence of like your inner child high-fiving your older adult, like alcoholic drinking sort of individual. It's like a perfect clientele. It's a mix of like just joy and wonder when people walk in. You see it on their face. NBA Jam and NFL Blitz get a lot of action, get a lot of play. It gets really loud in that corner. But I would say the four-person Pac-Man is pretty popular. And Simpsons, always a classic. So people are over on that one. And the X-Men game, you can get 6 people playing with you. It's like, why not? You know, so I think it's the bigger games. It's the communal games, which I really love seeing someone playing by themselves. And then within like 5 to 10 minutes, there's like 4 other people around them playing with them. And there's not a sense of like who you came with or who you're leaving with. It's just the idea for that moment, you know. Like for a minute there, you're just Nightcrawler, you know? I've seen people come in really, really big groups of friends, and then I see them immediately split apart and go do their own things, which I think is very funny. But then you can reconvene too and play life-size Jenga or life-size Connect 4 as well. So that's like, you know, it's a lot more going on than just the digitals. But I mean, it's perfect. You can get a tab at the bar, go to find a game. A cocktail person can come up to you and offer you a drink. You get it on your tab. You can go up to the window, get a piece of pizza, put it on your tab. So it's just kind of like a playground, basically. You just put a credit card down and then walk around, go wherever. Get tokens from behind the bar or the machines. There's a huge focus on local beer. We have such an amazing lineup of local breweries around, so why not get them featured? With 60 tap lines, it's easy to get everyone in. But yeah, with the strong focus, I'd say almost half, if not more, are actually local beer. And then the rest, you know, are either places that maybe have had, good standing with the other locations, or just random beers that we like to give a chance and see what happens. We've had a couple of really, really interesting ones just in a week and a half that have been like flash in the pan, just gone. So they might be coming back around. But I love the fact that you can literally come in and you can just have a Fulton Lonely Blonde, or you can have a 13% ABV bourbon aged barrel stout. You know, like you can have one of two, or you can also throw down and get a Coors Light. You know, it's up to you. And I've been bartending for 10 years, and I have just met like 8 to 10 different beers that I've never seen before in my life that I'm a huge fan of. I'm very lucky because I get to put liquid in glass for a living and make money having, you know, fun doing it. Whereas I'm seeing some of these guys work on these games, and I'm like, that's kind of magical to me. Like how if the game goes down, they're there immediately to try and be an on-hand technician. So that's one nice thing even on a busy, packed night, if somebody can be like, well, the Mortal Kombat left joystick's broken. Immediately within an hour that the game is back up and running versus like sticking an out of order sign on it. And the other day I was eating a piece of pizza and looking around me and like, I'm eating pizza, drinking Mountain Dew, and Rocko's Modern Life is on TV, and American Gladiators is on TV, and I'm 8 years old all of a sudden. Well, also the fact that in reality, Independence Day is in theaters right now, and a Clinton's running for office. I'm like, it's a time warp. I don't know what year I woke up in, but I'm happy to be here.
I have to say that we had a blast at the Up-Down. I played a lot of Punch-Out! And Super Off-Road, and I drank a fantastic beer from Prairie Artisan Ales. It was their Paradise Russian Imperial Stout, off the charts good, and a beer I've never seen anywhere else.
Yeah, I had, while we were there, I had the Evil Twin Modern IPA, which was also really good. I had a couple more too, but then I also tried their pizza from their pizza window. Yummy. I had bacon mac and cheese pizza. I put some sriracha on it. It was a thing. It was delicious.
I'm pretty sure I got a high score in skee-ball.
I played some X-Men. I was rocking it as Colossus, and then I played some NFL Blitz 99, some pinball. Yeah, it was fun times for sure.
So check out the Up-Down if you're into beer and arcade games and roughly our age and miss the great generation of arcades.
Yeah. So now we're doing a little taste test. We've broken out some Furious here as well because that's the clone that we had. So I'm just going to top off my glass here. And get, yep. Because you always need a full glass.
I always need a full glass.
So you still have our clone here.
Yeah. My thought was that our beer was definitely a little maltier than the Furious.
Yep.
But they're both, as you can tell, like really close in color. And the flavors are pretty similar. Just Furious seemed a little more hop forward to me.
Yeah, our beer is a little sweeter, I think, as well. Yeah.
I mean, they're both delicious.
Yeah, they're both good. Yeah, they're both, yeah. I no complaints there. I will drink both of them in the next half hour. So, next we're going to talk about CrafTapped. It is a new idea in the craft beer world, and it's really innovative, and it's this idea of building a community around craft beer.
It's a craft beer lovers club, a craft beer lovers community. The burgeoning industry, not only in Minnesota, but all across the nation, really drove my partners and I to come up with this cool notion of getting people together, visiting different tap rooms, hospitality venues that focus on craft beer. Obviously, you're in a tap room, It's all about the craft beer. But the idea is to get people together and exploring different places and exploring different flavors and really enjoying what the whole craft beer world is about. It's kind of like Netflix for beer. I kind of like to describe it that way. You know, you sign up for $10 a month, you get 4 vouchers, you take them out into any one of our participating partners, and you redeem it for a serving, a pint or a tulip or whatever the serving might be, depending on where you're at. You're visiting these places already. You know, you're in a silo. If you're a CrafTapped member, you're kind of already in our silo because you love craft beer. So you're probably already visiting a lot of these places already. Well, let's give you a little incentive on a financial side, you know, to get a little more affordable beer. Not to say they're unaffordable, don't get me wrong. But, you know, a little bump on the price, you know, help you out a little bit. And then, you know, you're going to explore another place after that, and another one after that. And then the next month you get new vouchers. You go back to visit some of those faves or see some new places you haven't been to before. Yeah, so we do these like every other week. Sometimes we'll jam a few more in every month. But when members show up for our member happy hours, we buy them the first pint. So we want to get some cash flow going for the participating venue.
For us, you know, the tap room is about bringing community together. That's always been part of our goal, and for CrafTapped, it's really the same thing. For them, I think it's introducing people to craft beer around the metro and around the state. For us, it's the same thing. You know, we're focused on here, but it's a really tight-knit community. So,
well, as of us doing this chat here, we're at 60+ partnering venues right now, and hundreds of members, hundreds upon hundreds of members all across the Twin Cities. So that's our real goal, is to continue adding great venues and then add more and more members. You know, friends telling friends, that sort of thing. You know, the other cool part is these are craft beer lovers. So they're coming in, they get a free pint, so to speak, you know, with that voucher. I like to call it a starter pint though, because these are craft beer lovers, that's the starter. Okay, let me know what else you got. Oh, let me try this one. And then, okay, let me have one of these. And then, yeah, and they're reasonable drinkers too. So, you know, a lot of Uber rides home from time to time, which is cool. But moreover, they like something, they're going to take a growler home, they're going to take a crawler home, serve it to friends at home, tell them about this great place they were at, Lakes and Legends or any of our other partners, and spread the love and spread the news about the great flavors and the vibe. Again, I call CrafTapped a community because it is, and there's a sense of community that happens in a bar that features craft beer or in a tap room of a brewery. It's a different vibe. It's not a bar. I'm going there to drink. I'm going there to see people. I'm going there to enjoy different flavors, different blends, different styles of beer, and I want to go see people. I might meet somebody that, you know, they see me with a cribbage board, and I've never met him before, and I love seeing that. I've seen it happen all the time. It's like, hey man, you want to play some cribbage? Yeah, what's your name? Blah, blah, you know, and then you got a new friend, you know, and all over beer, fine beer, and a little cribbage action or Scrabble or trivia night that might be happening. So yeah, it's community.
So if you're interested in CrafTapped, you can actually try your first month for free on their go to their website, it's got information about that, so you can try it out, see if it works for you. And if it grows and grows, they have plans to take it to other markets across the country. So we'll see where CrafTapped goes in the future.
Another place we got to check out is Fair State Brewing in Northeast. They are the first cooperative brewery in Minnesota and only the third in the nation, taking a really unique business model into the brewing industry.
Started homebrewing. I brewed, I think it was a brown ale, my very first brew, and then I made a pale ale next, and kind of just never stopped.
Evan, Nico, and I started homebrewing together in 2007, I want to say, and really enjoyed that. We'd get together at least once a month, winter, summer, all seasons, to get together and brew on one of our porches, and really enjoyed that.
I think every single person, like the first time that you make a beer that doesn't suck, all of your friends tell you that you need to open a brewery. Mm-hmm. And it took me then, I guess, another 10 years after that point to finally decide this was something that we should do.
With that decision, it was time to get a team in place.
The big thing was our head brewer, Nico. He's a good friend of mine. We went to college together, played rugby together, we lived together, and he had become a professional brewer at a place called Live Oak down in Austin, Texas. And so we had been homebrewing for a long time, and I had always kind of thought that taking the step into going pro was not necessarily what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't want to become a brewer. That just wasn't necessarily my passion. But I lucked out that it was Nico's passion and that he is far better at it than I ever was.
We had been tossing around the idea of starting a brewery ever since probably the first time grain hit water when we were homebrewing, because it's what everybody thinks of.
Right.
And we said, well, why not a co-op brewery? That seems like a great thing.
And it was just kind of one of those light bulb moments. Minnesota loves co-ops. We've got more co-ops than any other state in the country. Minneapolis in particular, it's really integral to our communities, especially with the grocery co-ops here.
We just thought it would be a really good fit with a lot of the values in the metro. A lot of Minnesota has been ground zero for a lot of cooperative development within the United States.
In September of 2014, they opened their doors after hundreds of people signed up to become members.
We started off with between 250 and 300, and now we're just knocking at the door of 900 members. So, in the year and a half plus we've been open, that's an enormous growth in membership.
So it's been really interesting as a founder to give up a lot of our control and other things to the board and the members and everything else, but it's exactly what we're looking for. I think we are getting so much buy-in, and people are really committed to their membership here, to what that means, and to our future success being their future success.
Their unique business model is complemented by a unique lineup of beers.
We basically make what we like, and that's why people get into this industry. I think a lot of the time is that it's a passion, and so when you set out, especially having worked at a brewery before, when you set out to open your own brewery, it's a big part of it is why you would leave a secure job to do something that's dicey, is that you have an idea of what you want to do, and this is the best way to do it. We break down what we do into 3 categories: continental style, traditional European style beers.
It's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be fancy beer. It's just well made and something that you can sit around and have with your friends and just kind of enjoy.
But we also make a lot of lager beers. So we're very serious about lagers. I love lagers, like Pils, Vienna lager. We have 2 different variants on Pils going inside right now.
Nico is a great brewer, and it takes a great brewer to make great lagers. More so some than other beers, just because it's so scientific and everything has to be done just right, because they're very simple beers, and otherwise you're going to have off flavors that are going to dominate it.
Hoppy beers, so like right now Session IPA is on. We do a dry hop saison every now and then, and we usually have some sort of IPA. And then sour beers, which I think has been the thing that people have heard about the most.
But this wasn't always part of the plan.
If you looked at our business plan, the word sour is never mentioned once. But what we always have been excited about, we've always been excited about sours. And we've also always wanted this to be a place where we could kind of experiment and see what we can do and see what sticks. And so I guess these sours have stuck.
We do a variety of different kinds of sour beers and different processes, things that are very approachable and clean sour beers. Like the Roselle that goes in cans that you can get on draft around town.
When we first brewed one, I was kind of, thinking, okay, hopefully some people will like this. I know I like sours, but I think they can be kind of a niche product. But people then, it turned out, were crawling out of the woodwork to get them.
And then we also do things that are mixed culture beers that involve different mixes of microorganisms working all at the same time. It's a little bit more on the sort of magical, who knows what's happening end of things. And we've just, we have a pretty good barrel program, and we've just started releasing stuff from that. So I think there's going to be more of that to come in the future, which is exciting for us. A lot of the beers that people get really hyped about are super high alcohol things that maybe sat in a whiskey barrel or whatever. We do some of that too. It can be a tough sell to get people to drink low alcohol stuff. But like I said, we like to make what we like to drink, so we're going to keep doing it.
And it seems to be working. They took home top prizes at last year's All Pints North and this year's Winterfest.
I guess the truth is that other people think that we're okay at what we do too.
Along with an award they couldn't have imagined.
We were named Rate Beer's top 10 new brewery in the world, the best new brewery in Minnesota, which was super unexpected.
Rate Beer let us know that we had won something, and that we should come out to the festival and the award ceremony in California in Santa Rosa. My sister lives in Santa Rosa, so it was really nice so I was one who went out there to take the chance. We didn't know what was going to happen.
And then, he just calls us. He's like, so we're in top 10 in the world, new breweries. And it was definitely one of those, holy cow moments.
I'm pretty sure that we were the first brewery in Minnesota that had ever been on that top 10 new breweries in the world list. And it's pretty rarefied territory. If you look at the list of people that have been on that, I still don't really think we fit on that list because there's some pretty awesome breweries on there. But it's been awesome for us.
As the accolades stack up for this young brewery, the founders are proud of their achievements, but equally proud of what they are doing in the community.
I really like seeing the community that we've built. Both a lot of locals in Northeast and people who are coming in from all over who make this part of their, a third space for them. People talk about third spaces from not the home, not the work. And sometimes it's a dying thing in American culture, but having something that people really treat that way and come to meet friends here, come to catch up. And the amount our members have connected with other members through Fair State Cooperative, it's our volunteer program and things like that. And the board getting really active in the elections for that. I think watching all of that come together as an organization in a different way than a lot of other breweries are run has been really fun and really interesting to watch.
So it's pretty cool that one of the top 10 best new breweries in the world is right here in our town in Northeast Minneapolis with Fair State, and it was great to check them out.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, their beer is top notch, especially for a sour beer lover like myself. Awesome. Well, we want to thank everyone that was a part of this show. I want to thank the guys down at Town Hall. We had a great time when we were down there, and the team from CrafTapped, and also Lakes and Legends, where they were holding the CrafTapped member happy hour that we went to. Had a lot of fun with them.
Also Up-Down Barcade, Up-Down in Uptown. And Fair State, once again, it was a great time being there as well.
Yeah, we had a great time on this episode of On Tap. Hope you had a great time watching it, and remember, drink good beer and drink it responsibly.